Aloha, it's Ducky with the Aloha Thumbprint podcast. We're super excited to have Councilwoman Andrea Tupola here with us to talk about her Aloha Thumbprint and also just all of the things that she's got going on right now during this season. So, hey.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. You look gorgeous.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're wearing my favorite color.
Oh, pink I do love.
Hot pink. It's like Barbie, right? That's the new thing nowadays,
Well, I figured
right?
I was having a podcast with you, so I was like, I can bust it out. I know Ducky will appreciate this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming out all the way out to Makaha, and we're just so excited to chat with you a little bit. So, the idea of the Aloha Thumbprint, it's all about the mark, the unique mark that we leave on our island, on our communities, on this world, really. And so I'm just so excited to be able to chat with you a little bit because you are in it. Your boots on the ground, right? I mean, there's always something that you're doing. So I'm just really excited. So what's going on? What's new with you?
Well, I haven't been in the council for about 3 years, and so it's different than the state legislature where I served for 4. It handles permitting, we do wastewater, trash, stream cleanup, lights, police, ambulance, fire, so everything that you need on a day-to-day basis to have your family operate, have your home operate, and for public safety, all city stuff. So I've really appreciated working for the city, even though I thought I wasn't going to like it, because like you said, it's boots on the ground. It's kind of that grimy stuff that I love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to look cute while you're doing it, with your, I always love putting on my steel toes and getting down with it. But, I do remember, it's been a few years since we've known each other. And I remember one of the very first times that we had, encountered you was when you had appealed to Hawaii Unified to help with a park.
That's
Refencing
right.
and cleanup.
Yeah.
Yes, see, there's so much that you already were like, oh yeah, that was a while ago. But that was actually my first introduction to you. And I really love that. I love that there are people who are actually involved and get behind the messaging that they have. So, and then one of the other things, of course, was the prom dress event.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that. Is that still?
Yes. So I've been doing that for 9 years. It's called the Young Women Prom Event. So when I first got elected in 2014, I had this idea that, sure, there's a lot of problems in society, teenage pregnancy, domestic violence, and there's a lot of things you can do with the law, but what better thing to do than inspire and give role models to these young girls early so that we can be on the preventative end of all of this, right? As a lawmaker, I feel like we're always reacting, and I don't really like that. I'm an initiator. Yeah. I'm an activator. I'm the person that's proactive and prepared before something happens. So I thought this event could be a place where we bring speakers, we bring dresses, the incentive to listen and hear, but then also to help our girls understand that you can be modest, that you can, value, have self-worth and not feel like other people determine your worth. So it's been something that I've been really passionate about for the past 9 years. We give out hundreds of prom dresses. And really the main thing for me is that the girls walk away with this message of empowerment, self-worth, and that they in turn can go to their schools, their churches, their community, and really hold themselves with pride and dignity without having to do things that aren't becoming of a young woman. So I have 2 young women. I have 2 girls that are 14 and 15. So it's very much of interest to me to be an inspiration to this upcoming youth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I've actually heard about these events. I've had friends that have spoken at your events. And what are some of the stories that you've heard come out of that?
Well, from year to year, it varies. We've had Kalena de Lima speak. We've had Calais Grant, who actually was trafficked. At the age of 21, she is now the missing children's director for the Attorney General's office. She was trafficked during the Super Bowl, actually. And when she shares her story of how she was able to come out of it, and now she actually helps to rescue children. We've also had speakers that represent like the media industry, some that have represent pageantry or have spoken as role models in the community. So for me, I want these girls to see themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So this past year was me and Tiffany Thurston. So Spiff is a country singer / Christian, but she's also my classmate. Mm-hmm. So I told her, hey, let's speak this year, which was the first time I ever spoke at my own event. And really the message that we wanted to give these girls is that, yeah, there's these tough times, but there's ways to power through it, and that all of us have been in those moments. And so hold on to us, cling to us for that strength if you need it. Find those women that can be role models in your community and try to do whatever you can to surround yourself and build an environment where you can feel the strength that you need to get through what you're going through.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So 9 years, that's a pretty long
time.
I can't believe
it's been 9 years.
Oh my gosh. What is it that keeps you motivated to keep doing that type of work?
I love service. I first got into public service because I served a mission for my church in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Venezuela when I was about 23 years old. And what I saw there was what I've never ever seen in my life. A lot of political protesting. In fact, you cannot not be political in Venezuela and survive there.
Wow.
So political. At the time, Hugo Chavez was the president, and right now there's, a huge uproar still going on in the country. But when I had returned home from that service that I gave, I immediately knew I never want to live in a society like that. I want to continue to promote these ideals of freedom, of industry, of work, because a lot of the work was disincentivized there because they were giving the lowest socioeconomic class free housing, free medical, free school, which on face value seems great. But to not have that work ethic can destroy a whole society. So when I came back, I was very much in this mindset of how do I empower and help to bring our community members to understand that our voices are what matters most. We shouldn't have people miles and miles away from us making decisions for our family, our children, our education. And then how do I continue to serve? That's really all I'm interested in. People are like, are you going to run for mayor, governor? And I have run for governor in the past, but that is not the point. When you're a leader, you have to know when to lead, when to follow, when to watch. So I deeply love serving my community.
I totally love that, putting your money where your mouth is. So tell me about the work then that you've been doing here over the last few years. What are you proudest of? What are some of those bills that you've gotten through that you're just like, yes, that was a win?
Well, I'll talk about one, but I would say that my biggest accomplishments are community service projects. But one of the bills that I just got passed was Bill 56, which has to do with the permitting process. So there's a small little list of exemptions, things that you can do in your own home without a permit. Mm-hmm. We're talking about fences, electrical work, plumbing work, component replacement. Well, I looked at this little list and I thought, this is very outdated, because one of them was $1,000 exemption for component replacement. What cost $1,000 now? A countertop is more than that. If you redo the tile in your bathroom and you get a new vanity, boom, you're over the threshold and you have to go apply for a permit. So I decided that we should add and change these valuations. So we added 5 things. One, the component replacement went up to $10,000. Electrical and plumbing went from $500 to $2,500, which that could mean that you're changing out a panel and you're helping your house to work better. You can replace like-for-like solar parts, which is really important because 60% of the permits in the backlog are solar.
Yes, don't we know?
Don't you know? And the last thing was that fences, they had a 30-inch fence and above needed a permit. Well, I think 6 feet and above don't need a permit. 6 feet and below don't need a permit. Mm-hmm. So we added that into the bill as well. So it's something that I was proud of because I'm helping local residents. It's like a DIY bill. Mm-hmm. So if we can help our local residents repair their home without a permit and stay living here in Hawaii for generations to come, we're doing something good.
That is amazing. Yeah, that's something actually that we're really passionate about. It's something that my husband actually has been working with Mayor Blangiardi and with the Department of Planning and Permitting to help to, come up with solutions. And you actually, to come up with those solutions because, from a small business perspective, if we can't build, we can't make money and we can't keep people employed. And that's one of the biggest things that we're doing right now. And so actually, going back to a few years ago, we had actually talked about creating it was when the Learning Center was in its infancy, and we're just looking to get our accreditations. And you had been working with a few other groups to help create these workforce programs. What is your perspective on workforce development? Where do you feel like we need it the most?
Thank you for bringing up that word. Work is like one of my favorite words.
I love work.
Let's work.
Yeah.
So when I talk about work, one of the things that I run in the community is a homeless outreach program, Restore, Reconnect, Revive. I'm interested in restoring public spaces to the public. I'm interested in reconnecting individuals to resources, and I'm very interested in reviving the way we do outreach by using accountability and timelines. Now, one of the things that I feel like has heavily been missing is that even if you get a voucher, even if you get assistance, you're still going to need some form of income to sustain yourself. So I believe that a big portion of what we need to be doing at these outreaches is, what is your skill set? And some of the homeless individuals were like, I used to be a CDL driver. Okay, well, should we go back? I was a laborer. I was a roofer. I did this. And, life happens. Maybe their credentials expired. Maybe they got into a bad relationship. Maybe they were in an abusive relationship. And then all of a sudden, work wasn't a priority, but surviving was a priority. We need to get everyone back to that mindset of like, work is not only just for your income. It also helps you to feel valuable. If somebody works, they feel like they have a purpose in their community. So I really am hovering around that idea in my homeless outreach, because there are a handful of people that the first thing they wanted to do was get a job. They didn't really want to go to housing or shelter, but they were like, can you help me get a job? I was like, sure. And 9 of them ended up getting jobs. Some of them ended up holding on to it. But if people really have that desire to get back in there, I wanted to be that conduit, because many of these individuals would never get a job without a reference. So I told them, put my name down. I said, put my name down, put my cell phone number down, tell them, call me. I'll vouch for you that you've been coming to this homeless program and that it's helping you. So I know that's like, a different population of people. But for me, I do believe that that's one of the things that will help all of our community, is if we really have those opportunities for work. And if we're finding the right people for our companies, like you guys' company. I mean, I'm sure you guys have openings. You're looking for people that you want to train up. Think about this, like how valuable it is that you guys run the Learning Center. Like, it's super valuable, because kids graduate from high school and they're looking for a place where they can belong. Where do I belong? When I spoke at the women's prison just recently, that was the question that most of the incarcerated individuals asked me. Can I call you when I get out of here? I want to know where I belong. Do I belong in society? Is there a place where I can be, where I can work? I'm like, yes. So just to kind of double down on your statement about work, like, it is one of the most important things we can do in this life is contribute to our communities and build purpose.
I absolutely love that. In fact, one of my favorite Bible scriptures is about, loving the work that you do and also doing good for the rest of your life. And I really feel like you totally embody that. You're so passionate how things just kind of flow through with you. And so I did want to share with you a little bit, because we were talking about the Learning Center, right? And we have actually worked with our houseless community. In fact, last year we held a program specifically for them in our core construction class. And my dad actually was sort of one of the assistants that would come and help out and, be there with them. And so he was in Waianae store. And Jared, one of the students that we had, was so excited to see him. He ran up to him and he was like, hey, uncle, I got a really good job because of the class, and that's really, where it's all worth it, where it all makes sense. Because sometimes, especially when you're doing service work, there's not a lot of people who want to get involved sometimes. And so you're there doing it all yourself, right? So what is it that makes Andrea different? What is it deep down inside that drives you to do this type of work and to really make a difference, to go above and beyond?
Well, let's add a new dimension. So I'm also a music teacher.
Yeah.
So my background is actually in choir. Okay. So as a choir teacher, my job is to bring voices together. So people always say, it's so strange you went from music into politics. I'm like, is it though? Because I still listen to complaining voices all the time. So I listen to voices in a different way, but I still listen to voices all day, and I still have to blend them. I still have to bring them together. So I feel like deep down inside of me, I'm a collaborator. Like, because if I loved like solo artistry so much, I would have cut an album, or I would have gone and, decided that I'm going to be a artist. But I decided I wanted to be a choir teacher because I'm fascinated by voices coming together. It's like my favorite thing to hear. I still conduct choir at my church. It's still one of the things that I feel like is kind of who I am. Now, translate that into the community. Let's get into a cleanup, for example. I love doing cleanups. Been doing that for 9 years as well. In a cleanup, I'm not looking for voices from Kaimuki or Kailua. When I'm cleaning a particular part of the community, I'm looking for the voices right there. Because people always say, oh, let us know. We'll come from Kaneohe and help. I'm like, no. The guys on the street over there, they can help. They can help themselves.
Yeah.
This is their street. We want them to have ownership, right? So I'm building this idea of community ownership. So when I do these cleanups, yes, we walk the streets and we ask people, hi, can you help? Hi, would you guys be able to help? Oh, do you own a truck? Oh, is that your front loader? Oh, can we use that? Oh, do you guys have gloves? Oh, you have children. Great. Can they come out on Saturday? So it's, we're looking for people to contribute, not because it's for me, but it's for us. Yeah. Because when we're done, all of those kids who came out, they're going to feel that ownership, and they're going to say, hey, don't throw your trash on the street. I just cleaned up over here. We don't do those kind of things. This is how we take care of our community. And I've done that even with the mural on Food Giant. So years ago in 2016, I did a 3,000 square foot mural. And the reason why we did it is because it was vandalized. And the owners were like, we need more police. We need more security. And in my head, I was like, no, we need more artwork. Yes. I'm such an artsy person. I'm like, no, we need painting. And so they paid for the mural, which was great, but it wasn't really about the mural. It was about the community contribution, because all these kids from the Boys and Girls Club came and they painted the fishies, they painted the coral. So more or less, the store gave up their ownership of the wall and said, hey, this is your wall. And it hasn't been vandalized severely since, but who I am is that person that brings voices together.
Oh my gosh, I totally love that. I mean, so that was really interesting, your approach to going out and getting people involved and knocking on the doors. How do people respond to that? Are they gung-ho? Are they like, eh?
There's always both. So I remember I was cleaning a street by Maili Elementary, and I was coming down the road with these front loaders, and we were grabbing, smashing cars, stacking them, strapping them, because I was taking all the abandoned cars off. All these people are filming me, and this one uncle comes out. He's like, where's all your people? I was like, you're my people. Get out of your house and come in. I mean, there was really no one with me besides the operators. So, sometimes it's shocking to them because they think I have this army of people. And I'm like, no. I like barely have anybody helping me. In fact, today it's just me. They're like, oh, do you need help? I'm like, I absolutely do. So, I think when they see me in that work, they can't do, anything but help. I mean, when you see someone, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, you got it. You're like, oh, what can I grab? What can I do? You're cleaning my street. Should I be out there helping? So it kind of plays to my benefit to not always have an army behind me, although I appreciate it. I appreciate when there's armies of people that come and help me. Sometimes it gives space and, this breathing room for people to insert themselves. So I want everyone to feel like they have a part. I always say there always is a part to play. So play your part well. And I want people to know that, no, we're not at capacity, guys. Everybody can help.
Yeah.
There's still space for everyone to help. So, I mean, I've had other people that have, straight up told me, like, no, we're not helping. So-and-so's a jerk, and they've been polluting this community. I'm not cleaning up their stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, reasonable, but at least I asked. And many of the people that I partner with, they've told me, no one's ever asked me. I'm like, wait, hold up. No one's asked you to give to our community? They're like, no. I was like, well, I'm asking.
Yeah.
What would you like to give? And even the Y&I store owners were shocked the first time I met them because they were like, no one's ever asked us. I was like, I would like to ask you for everything.
Yeah.
Bentos for the volunteers. Could you please do, and to be honest, I feel the same way about our houseless community. I feel the same way about the youth in our community. If you ask and you have this pure intent to do good, there's very few people that will turn you down.
I love that. And that's something that's so special about here in Hawaii, this aloha, really, if you will. And, it's, for us, it's so natural. We grew up with it. It's a way of life. But really interesting is, as I go out, as I travel and I'm in the mainland, people kind of like, they feel the aloha and they're like, you're weird. Like, why are you so open? Why are you so, willing to help? What is aloha to you? What is?
Aloha definitely is love, right? This idea of sharing your life and your breath with others, right? And so I think for me, especially as a native Hawaiian, I feel like aloha is something like deep inside of you where it's like the people that you work with like become your people. Mm-hmm. People always ask me because I'm not from Waianae. I've lived in this community 13 years, but I was born in Kuhuku, raised in Hawaii Kai. So they said, how did that all happen? Mm-hmm. Because people in Waianae don't necessarily like people from Hawaii Kai, and you're not really from here. And the way it happened is that when you serve people with this love, it's like you become their people, they become your people. And for me, that's what aloha means, is this service and this love where people within your own community just become like your brothers and sisters.
Yes. That is exactly, that's exactly on point, and I can see you're emotional about it. I love it. It's really sad to me because it is difficult for people in the mainland to feel like, or not just in the mainland, even here in our state, where they don't feel like people have got their back. They don't feel like they belong. One of the things that, one of the greatest compliments I got ever in my life was that you make people feel like they belong and so welcome. And I love that, how you were talking about people just need to get involved. People need to sometimes be asked. People need to be pushed. And like you said, being that connector, that glue is so important because a lot of times people will shrink. They're not going to take it upon themselves to do these things, and they just need to be empowered. And so I am so grateful that you're here in our community and that you're actually serving and you're doing, you're showing up. So I can imagine that everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has something to say. How do you determine, where you're going to put your attention, especially as you're, proposing changes and bills and things like that?
Well, I think that's easy answer. Two different things. One, who do you listen to? Brene Brown, great author, one of the quotes that she talks about is cheap seats feedback. So the people who come to the concert of life, the people who are paying that expensive front row seat, those are the people who care about you. And then there's the people who pay $5 and sit in the nosebleed section. And for whatever reason in life, we make those opinions so important to us. Yeah. Why though? They paid $5. They don't even know our name. They don't even know who we are. But, social media, the way that people portray themselves, for some reason we think, oh, that's so important. It's not. The people who invest in you and in your life, those are people who matter. Their thoughts matter. Everyone else's thoughts don't matter. So when I ran for governor in 2018, the voices became loud, and I had to really sort out like, okay, whose voices matter most? Because I can only listen to so many people a day. The second part of my answer would be, how do I determine what initiatives are most important? Well, for me, my main goal has been to help local families live here for generations to come, period. Mm-hmm. So everything that I do has to be contributing towards helping local families live here. Does Bill 56 help with that? Sure, absolutely. Does the Young Women Prom event help with that? Yes. So I have to always double check what I'm doing against the values that I have and make sure that my end goal is still the same. Because I feel like, if anything, when I ran for governor in 2018, my main message was, everybody come home. They're like, you're doing so great. It's so wonderful. Sorry, you need to move home and help us because this is a place that we call home, so we need to contribute to it. So I feel like if I can keep that in the forefront of my decision making, then I will always make the right choice on what to do.
Amazing. What are some of the initiatives that you're working on right now or that you're looking to for the future?
So aside from the cleanups, the Young Women Prom event, I'm running a homeless outreach program, and I'm helping with tons of things that's happening in permitting. I do think that a big issue that we're trying to address right now in our community is crime. So we just had a crime town hall. We talked about game rooms, some of the fatalities that we've had recently. And I mean, let's be honest, the police are also reactionary, right? They're there because they're going to try to help with enforcement or to keep the community safe. But where do these problems stem from? Our homes. It stems from the way that we run our families, the way that we teach our children. So, you know, for me, I feel like I'm starting to understand this. I run a anti-sex trafficking conference. I've done that for about 4 years. I'm doing another one this September. But the idea here is to understand, yes, the attorney generals is there, the prosecutors are there, judiciary is there, and these are all entities that can help with this. But what more do we need to do in our families and in the way that we conduct ourselves in our community to help deter some of this behavior? So I feel like my Young Women's Prom event is kind of like a proactive way of addressing some domestic violence issues. The anti-sex trafficking conference that I run is a proactive way of getting families alert to how trafficking actually happens, even within your own family members. And so I'm very much the person that comes up with events and ideas that I think can be on the proactive end of deterring crime and violence in our communities. Because I do want more police presence on the West Side. I feel like we're underserved, but as we push towards that goal, can we still do other things to fortify our homes? Absolutely. So it is on the forefront of what I do: homelessness, housing, and public safety.
Nice. You know, we had talked about your homeless outreach program and this idea that you are willing to put your name down as a reference or to at least speak about your experience with them. And that's one big thing for me, is that, you know, there's this big thing about mentorship, being there to counsel someone, being there to, you know, give them advice, right? But I don't find that there's a ton of people that are willing to sign their name off on something and actually sponsor someone.
Oh,
into
100%. It's a nice concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, are you willing to stick your neck out and be like, yeah, I'll associate with that person? Yeah, hard to find. Definitely hard to find. And I think that I even went to a communications conference where they talked about mentorship. And I remember looking around the room and I was like, is this really a thing where we have to explain what mentorship is? I mean, they were like breaking it down. I was like, okay, this is real simple, guys. Mentoring somebody means that you become a role model for them, and then you become an asset and a resource for them, right? And luckily, I have wonderful staff, Mika, Kika, shout out, who partner with me in these efforts and make themselves available, because they're not just texting me in the middle of the night when they get evicted or when something happens where they need food or shelter. They're texting them too, right? And luckily, we have the resources, the assets to do this. I went to church a few weeks ago. Homeless man walks in, and of course, everyone's like, what do we do with him? I'm like, it's not that complicated. First off, we let him in.
Yeah.
He wants to go to church, let him go to church.
Right.
You know, and then from there, it's like, do I have the social workers' numbers in the areas that they live? Yes, I do. So I can call them and be like, hi, it's me. This is so-and-so. Let's go find him. He's right there behind Couple Lake Commons. This is the issues we have. Let's see what we can do. So I do feel like my homeless outreach, which I run in churches, is that I'm trying to empower churches across our community to be caseworkers. We don't have enough. And I understand that the Christian way is to give clothing and give food, but could we be doing more than that by having accountability, by helping with job placement, by understanding what community court is, by understanding how to clear citations and warrants? Like, I'm trying to up this level, like way up, so that when we're giving service, that these people we're serving, we know their names, we know their struggle. It's not like we're giving out socks at Thanksgiving. You know, I'm serious. Like, people go to the boat harbor and they're like, here's a meal. I'm like, do you know any of these people's names? Because you can't do this once a year thing. You know, to really serve the people in the community is to know them. So I'm helping, like, get these individuals connected to what I would call a support system. Because one day when the government's gone, I hope you know that church will help you. And that if you want to take a shower, you can ask them. And if you're short on food, they might have it. You know, because I'm trying to connect them to good people in our community, because I can't do everything. But there are so much good people in our community that can. I just got to connect them.
Yeah. And what does that look like? How do they, if someone wants to get involved, you know, they're like, hey, that sounds like something I could be good at. You know, I would love to be able to be passionate or excuse me, not passionate. I would love to be able to, get involved with helping people with resources if there's a need. How would they do that? What does that look like?
Well, thanks for asking the question. We start cohort 2 in August, or cohort 3 in August. So I run a 16-week program from August to November. We have 5 locations. So we have one in Makaha, we have one in Waianae, one in Lualualei. We're going to have one in Maili and one in Kapolei. And it's only an hour. So it's like 5 to 6, they come, they get a hot meal, they sit. I have tables with different signs, prosecutors, community court, housing, jobs, work Hawaii. You sit, you eat your warm meal with someone that you want to work with. We have a folder where they can keep data on where they're at with their progress. So to be honest, when people ask me, like, what do you need? My answer is, I need your time.
Yeah.
Because people are like, I'll give you money. I'm like, no. So we have lots of resources in Waianae. We really do. Mm-hmm. I need your time.
Yeah.
I need your network. I need you to sit down and maybe just mentor a person. So, I mean, anyone can get involved. You can call my office and we can try to connect you up. But I really feel like what I've tried to do is that there already are churches doing homeless outreach. Mm-hmm. I would just like them to do it in a way where we're all working towards the same goal, restoring public spaces, reconnecting individuals to resources much greater than clothing and food, and then reviving this by accountability, timeline. Because all of these things can't be infinite. You cannot be infinitely living off a government resource. I saw that in Venezuela. Infinitely living off of somebody else is not self-reliance. That means you're reliant on others. And that is not a way to live your life, because you're always going to be at the mercy of somebody else's dollar. You need to be able to find that empowerment within yourself, and that's part of what I do in this program.
I'm exhausted talking to you. How in the world do you do all of it? I mean, you've got to get tired at times, right? What does self-care, self-aloha look like to you? How do you just keep it going at this high pace?
Well, I love working out. Last year I did tear my Achilles, so I don't run as much, but I've done 2 marathons. I've tried to like diversify my workouts so that I'm not like overexerting my leg. So I do biking, I do swimming, and I do weightlifting. But I always feel like that's a really important part of the day. Whenever people are like, how do you fit in everything? I'm like, don't skip the workout. Yeah, you got to get in the workout, so you got to get your body going, and you have to take time for yourself to kind of center your mind, meditate, and then make sure that you're building your own, physical strength. I also am very big on, making sure to worship on Sundays. I have had long conversations with my kids' sports coaches that we don't do anything on Sundays because I need that day to reset. I need my children to be with me. I need us to get our home in order. I need us to get our schedule in order. And we're not going to run from end to end. I'm not running from Monday to Sunday with sports. I'm not. Because in order for our family to be at full speed, I need Sunday to reset. We need to refocus on the things that matter the most. So those are 2 of the biggest things that help me to just remember and have the right perspective, because after all is said and done, the main role that I play is I'm a mother. I have children that are watching me, and they're watching my balance and my imbalance. So I need to live a balanced life so that my children know that it's not just all about work. So when we do the community service projects, I do bring them along. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not. But it's good for them to see that this is part of what mom does. We're going to go clean the community. So I do face those challenges, but I think whenever you put the main priorities first, you have time for everything.
Yep, and you actually learn what's important and what's not important. One thing that I definitely know is true is when you say yes to one thing, you say no to other things.
So true.
Only 24 hours in a day. I keep trying to squeeze out more than 24 hours in a day. It's not working. But yeah, it's people often, ask me, because I run a nonprofit, the construction company, now Mrs. International. It's a lot. And people are like, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep putting yourself in these situations? But I think that, like you said, it's like when your intention really is to serve people and to impact their lives, like that's what drives me and keeps me going. I need to get better about the self-care. I need to take a lesson from your playbook. But yeah, this idea that you have to have a pono balanced life, and this idea that, we can have it all. I love that. And like you said, it's prioritizing. Your girls are a little bit older, but like my daughter, she was like praying, like we'll pray, do nighttime prayers, right? And she'll pray, and please don't let mommy work as much, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is, everything. Like, I need to make sure that I'm also keeping this, what's so important at the core. And there are times and seasons where we're just going to have to do a little bit of sacrifice. But one of the greatest things that I ever heard was like, get them involved in what you do. And so my 11-year-old, not so thrilled about having to get involved sometimes, but yeah, the little one, she just absolutely loves it. So, and I just want to thank you so much, for being with us. And, any final thoughts? What do you think is most important for us to focus on, here in our community, or anything that you want to draw attention to, or anything upcoming that you just kind of want to put out there?
Sure. So I have some thoughts and some answers, but I want to ask you a question real quick.
Yes.
So what is your motivating factor? I was listening to you speak about all of these different things that you're doing, and people asking like, why do you keep putting yourself under this pressure? So what motivates you?
Love God, love others.
Nice.
So it's kingdom work for me. And, if I could leave this world a little bit better than, when I came into it, that would be incredible. And, there really is a true joy that you get when you know these people's names, when you're connected with your community, when people are so just genuinely thankful that you've put yourself out there, really with no expectation of anything in return. That's the way God loves me, and that's the way that I love others. So the rest is easy, But yeah, with Mrs. International specifically, it's an opportunity to get the messaging out about aloha, about this idea that you can come from this place of love, to make that your ultimate intention. Because I think the difference between, love is a concept we've been dealing with throughout all of humanity, but the difference in Hawaii is that we actually practice. And that's what people feel when they come. That's why they say when you come, you don't leave the same. So I really, want to get that message out there on a global, national level. But also, it's an opportunity to, draw attention to the Learning Center, to bring in more resources, more funding, so that we can continue to expand and grow what we're doing here in our community. So.
Awesome. Well, I congratulate you on the things that you're working on. Because to be a young business owner, to be a woman, to be leading a nonprofit, and now putting yourself on this platform, putting yourself out there, period, is tough, right?
It's kind of scary.
Right? For the whole world to judge.
Yeah.
For everyone to see all your flaws. Like, it's tough. It's tough to put yourself out there. So congrats, Ducky, you're doing great stuff. So I think my last thought would be, just going along the lines of what you said about bringing your kids along. One of the concepts I've learned through sore mistake is to not compartmentalize parts of my life. You got to live your whole life concurrently. So you're not, now I'm a mom, now I'm a business owner, now I'm a politician. Like, no, you're all of those things all at once, all the time. So it took me a while to understand that. When I was campaigning, for the various offices, I would always like, okay, kids, go to your grandparents' house. Okay, go watch a movie while mom does this. But I had to start to realize, like, I can't take my children away from what is happening. I need them to be with me and go through it, and not necessarily think that I have to shoulder this. So, at the end of that campaign in 2018, I sat down with my family and I told them, I said, I can't keep doing this unless we're all in. All of us. My husband, my children, we have to be all in on what mom's doing. We can't be like, oh, that's what my mom does while we do this. No, we all serve the community, or else we all don't.
Yeah.
And so I think I have learned that strength comes when you're able to own all those roles all at once. Can I be in a council room and debate over bills and still be a mother? Yes, you can do that. Can you be a Christian and still be able to speak out on issues that may be against what? Yes, you can still be all those things, you know? And so I feel like for the community, you know, the main message that I have is to be more of who you are. Whenever people hear me speak, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to run for office. I'm like, whoa. We all don't need to be running for office. We need to be more of who we are, you know, and if who you are is to run this business and to mentor kids through vocational training, then that's who you are. Be the best version of yourself, because I think that we need good people everywhere. We need good people in education. We need good people in media. We need good people in politics. We need good people that are laborers. So I feel like if we are living at our fullest potential, then we're truly being positive community contributors.
So inspirational. You know, we're pretty close in age, but I still want to grow up to be like you. But yes, again, thank you so much. This has been an incredible time of talking story. Your Aloha Thumbprint is just so unique. In fact, it's like an Aloha handprint. I just hope that there are people that are listening to this and that are just inspired to be able to, you know, even do an ounce of what you do. And just to that message of being more of you, just be more of you, be authentic. And so thank you again. It was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. Aloha.
Aloha.